Welcome back, cousins. Tonight we're breaking down Black Women Will Save the World by April Ryan, and it's a lot. Let's get into it, shall we? So, chapter 3 talks about walking a tightrope. And as I get through this book, I become more and more solid in my beliefs that Black women will not save the world. And this chapter seems to have pushed me more in that direction. It talks about the boundaries that we have placed on ourselves as a form of survival in regular society. Here's a quote. While I always spoke my truth, I couldn't always speak my mind. I learned early that if you cross a line by making someone, particularly a white person, uncomfortable with your questioning, you could see your career held back for years. If you are viewed as angry or hostile in your demeanor, then you could see your career derailed altogether. She goes on to talk about Kamala Harris and how she walks this fine line, how she's this extremely experienced, extremely educated woman, but she has to walk this fine line as a Black woman. Not even just in the proximity to white people, but also in our community. She even talks about how it was unbelievable to see Kamala Harris being the vice president. And I believe that that fine line that we walk played a role because she had just called out Joe Biden in her presidential campaign, but he still chose her, considering he was called out for the certain policies that he backed that impacted her livelihood. The chapter also goes on to talk about how President Joe Biden relied heavily on Black women in this country. And as Black women, it's interesting seeing him putting more Black women in the forefront when we're so used to operating in the background. She further goes on to talk about how, as women in general, we don't all walk the same fine line because white women can be seen as bold when they stand up for themselves in the workplace, whereas Black women are viewed as angry. And when we get into roles where we are allowed to be leaders, it's very rare that we are recognized for the success of our leadership. In reading this chapter, I feel like we're doing all this work, but for what? To not be recognized for it? To still be ostracized? What are we fighting for? Who are we fighting for? And why are we fighting for them if this is how we're going to get treated? If you want to continue to read along, go to colorfulstory.com underneath additional resources and books. Click on the Amazon storefront, and underneath history, culture, and politics, you'll find the book. See you next chapter.